Thank you all for tuning into the Innovator's Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Seth Narayanan, founder and CEO of Telian Systems. Today, I'm speaking with Kulbir Singh, founder and CEO of an innovative voice AI receptionist platform that can be deployed in minutes. With roots in AI going back to 2014, including building an email analysis engine later acquired by Dell, Kulbir has deep experience spanning traditional machine learning to modern generative and voice AI. Today, we will explore how he's thinking real time, full duplex voice interfaces, his journey from CTO to a first time CEO, and his vision of voice as the next major computer interface. So, very excited to have you here, Kulbir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me here, Seth, and wonderful introduction. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, like I said, you've got a very interesting background and how you got to where your current role is as the founder of Rexpt, which is your platform, the AI receptionist platform. I'm very curious personally. We all interact with receptionists in companies and organizations, especially back when there used to be a lot of physical offices. And I would love to dig deep into that technology. But could you give for the viewers a background on how you started, how you were interested in technology, and what were some of the key initial experiences you had, and how you got to your current role, and what made you launch this platform and this product?
A story actually occurred to me while you were saying about how I started. You reminded me of first time when I touched a keyboard in 1997, I think.
Wow.
Those days in India, I think a computer was pretty new. And our institute was just pushing for computer training. And I remember a system was running WordStar, if you remember WordStar in those days.
Not many people might, but yeah, I do remember that.
I remember I was just looking at the keyboard and the biggest key was space bar. I was about to touch it and the teacher came, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh man, I think this thing gives you a shock or something." That's why he was worried about me. So I belong to that kind of background, small town in Punjab. But then, did my graduation, came to Chandigarh. Chandigarh gave me wonderful opportunities. I took almost every opportunity which was presented to me. I worked on many small projects. And then the first ever good project which was given to me was for a company named Blue Lithium. And I was more or less in control of the because in those days we used to work in something called Macromedia Flash, Adobe Flash.
Oh, yes.
Which is that. So action scripting was my domain, and we started this social media network in those days called Mingle Now, which actually opened my brain on what can be done, what can be achieved with this. Before that, I was more or less working on simple projects, web applications, or a little bit here and there, animation, and then even I did some 3D as well, elevation projects and all that. But then by 2008, I got an opportunity to visit Dubai, UAE. And when I saw how things are moving, I was there for a small project. And when I came back, I was like, I need something because I knew some very specific things which were in demand and people were seeking. And I didn't had any, you can say, formal knowledge how to set up a company and things about that. All I know, I'm just a techie. I just understand technology. The good thing is my co-founder, my life partner, and my everything, my wife joined me in those days to found Designers X with me. Her name is Sumi Beniwal. So we co-founded Designers X back in 2008. I stumbled upon a very good project, which you mentioned. It was called Fan2. A gentleman from UK, Birmingham, wanted to create something in those days which would analyze your email and serve you only the emails in the first half of the day, which makes you more productive. He was a productivity nut. So we took the challenge. We created a small machine learning algorithm which needed to be fed almost every time, like it needed to be trained. We were able to analyze based on the weather, based on the day, or how many emails, which emails came from the seniors, clients, boss, all of those things, all of those factors. We were able to identify a number on productivity scale, which emails should be attacked first. and it was presented in Newcastle. It was funded by European Union, and people loved it. It was really applauded, and we presented it to companies. The accelerator was giving us options to push it for the larger companies. And Dell was looking for innovative ideas. Dell UK actually bought that project, although me and my partner didn't go well after the purchase happened. Yes, we built the technology, sold it to Dell. That was my first ever exposure of how startups can make money from spending $100,000 and selling it for 40 million pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we just spent around 2 years on that project and good money was made. Going further, started looking more riskier projects. And in a similar way, I found this project called Multimodal E-commerce and automation platform based on Salesforce. And we started working on that and we added a few elements of artificial intelligence in there. Yeah, went very well. Kept going on. Again, automation became my domain, especially e-commerce related automation. And we started delivering a very specific set of solutions related to order processing and related to last mile delivery solutions where the data was really not available. We delivered solutions to companies in Singapore. Again, automation became my domain, and I've been very excited since 2017 when the transformers came in.
Yeah.
And I have to actually thank Sam Altman showing us the power. And then everybody went crazy. Like we both understand, like when launched ChatGPT, the first version, for us it was a little bit gimmicky. But then the progress made is amazing. Then again, Google is the king of the hill in general. We also decided to jump on the bandwagon. By 2024, we were just delivering, being a service company, we were just delivering solutions to companies which were AI plus automation, and we were doing data analysis. We have data scientists working with us from America and from Europe as well. And that is how, after delivering, I think, 4 or 5 solutions to which were handling their incoming calls, we built those custom solutions. I was like, why not just build it into a product? And right now, Recept is a kind of solution which is almost like installing an app. As long as you install Recept on your phone, you just give it basic information like what is your business name and what type of business you run, and maybe Google My Business listing of yours, and you're done. We do everything for you in the back end. You don't need to set up anything based on your business. It build all of those automation workflows which are required for small businesses. Like we recently nailed down the restaurant use case. It looks very simple that you call restaurant and somebody will take your order, but there are like tens of different workflows going on at the same time, things related to if this item is available and it can go with this item or not, and what are the variations which can be created and all that. So yeah, that's an achievement, I must say.
Very interesting. You've got a long and very technical, hands-on experience. And fortunately for you and for us, you got into AI pretty early, right? So there are a lot of people that have gotten into AI now, but right from the days when you built automation and when you built machine learning tools for, say, email analysis, that gives you the credibility and understanding of how this whole AI journey has evolved. So very impressive. When you decided on this product, I know again it's sort of accidental in that you were building these kinds of solutions for your customers and then you had the idea for the product. What made you decide that building a product for AI-based receptionist is the solution you want to build? There are so many other opportunities, right? So there are SDRs, because the ultimate underlying technology is voice-enabled, right? So AI through voice. What made you choose that? And do you have plans to maybe pivot and do other things with voice and voice recognition and voice synthesis technology?
Of course. So you very rightly said the underlying technology is a voice engine. And see, these days, actually, if you ask me, I consider voice AI It's not just a technology. I think it's the new interface. It's going to be the next thing how we interact with mobile apps. I see myself building voice apps in the future. You're going to say that, okay, I have this business use case. I needed a mobile app. Can you do it in voice where people just say things and interact with them? We're going to be able to do that with all those technology improvements. When we built the first version of the voice AI back in late 2023, early 24, I must say, it was more or less just a triage system, which was basically able to understand what the customer is saying and then respond and then forward the call based on the decision made. But now the current version of Recept, it's able to take decisions. I mean, if you call my agent Rex at 1-888-696 0666, if you call that number, my agent will be able to convert the customer on the phone. You don't have to go on my website. You don't have to go anywhere. It will simply ask you all the details. It will fill the form for you. It will send you a payment request link. You'll just verify this thing and it will set up everything for you on the phone. It's really powerful technology. We chose the receptionist, frankly, because we delivered three key solutions, which were huge pain points for my customers. And see, it's easy for us to make a voice engine which makes calls or receive. It doesn't make much difference. But then when you're making calls, you are in a way in the territory of marketing and a little bit of spamming as well. We both understand. To be on the safe side, see that a small business, a clothing shop, if they want to convert the leads, what they have to do with something like Recept is they just create an agent. We give them the agent and they just place that in their ads. And when somebody click that link, the agent starts speaking as long as the permissions is given. And then based on the interaction, the agent can definitely take order, can create users, all of those things. It doesn't matter outgoing or incoming. It's all about the initiation.
That's very true. So these days, there's so much competition out there, and there are a lot of products that get launched based on some core technology that is created by, let's say, a big tech company. And so, what is, in your opinion, that is core to your platform that makes it unique and creates a moat around your product that others could maybe not copy?
I mean, I think we both understand there's almost nothing in today's age which can't be copied. But yes, we are ahead at least 6 to 8 months. I'm making sure of that. First thing is Recept. Again, you don't need to do anything. Most of the platforms, if you go, either you have to do the tinkering yourself, you have to write the prompt, you have to make sure all the guardrails, everything is in place. You have to make sure that the conditions are met if this kind of keyword is spoken or if this function is invoked, what is going to happen. And most of the times you need technical teams to help you on those platforms. The second type of solutions which are available in the market is where you sign up, you start paying, and somebody will take over your onboarding and then they will set you up based on a template, based on a system. We, on the other hand, actually have chosen AI to be the creator as well. I think I published almost 2 weeks ago a diagram on my LinkedIn how we are using, because that diagram is what we were doing 8 months back. Now we have actually enhanced it, published it a year. So the diagram is very clearly defining when a new user comes in, our own trained AI tries to understand the requirement, and that is building the agent in under 3 minutes. When I say 3 minutes, 3 minutes is the time which is taken by the user to give the information. And we have accounted for that. What is the information required from the user? For AI, it is less than 10 seconds. We need to provide the correct kind of data. And then our system is able to define the context, the whole context, the base system, all the prompts and everything. Guardrails are placed by default. A lot of people have actually tried to break into our agents by asking behavioral questions or jailbreaking kind of mechanisms. But yes, every time we find a flaw, we just try to improve it. We both understand technology cannot be 100% foolproof, but yes, if you know your technology well, you can just keep on improving it. So we also have a very active team of analysts who actively look at what has been created by our AI for our customers and then The review actually happens by the humans still. And yeah, the process is almost foolproof.
That's very interesting. I have not had a chance to try it out yet, but it's on my list to try that out. So, what do you think about continuous learning? That is something that's come up lately, right? So, as the agent is interacting, and I'm assuming those conversations get recorded, and do you continue to learn from that on maybe there were exchanges with the receptionist where it can be optimized, right? Maybe the receptionist did not understand the question or did not understand the conversation. There was a back and forth. And so, do those things get analyzed in maybe real time or near real time and fixes made? Or how does that process, do you think, or is that too small of a data set to work from?
Continuous learning for our agents is part of the improvement. You have to do that. Otherwise, you cannot call us a technology company first. Although we have a very specific set of data which we use to teach our agents how to behave. We don't use our customer data. Let's say a dentist who's using our system to take appointments and everything. Our system basically creates a data silo for you. So your data is 100% secure. It's not really used for training of our agents. What we are doing instead is we have hundreds of agents of our own, which we use as demos. At any conference, any event, any demo by our sales team, when it happens, when we are facing our customers, they are actually there to test us. We make sure that all of those agents are thoroughly reviewed, all the conversations and everything. Complete transcripts are analyzed first by our own AI system and randomly by our human analysts. We have to do that just to make sure, because creating a voice AI agent as a receptionist for one customer is a different thing, but creating a system which does that every few minutes is a different thing. You need to make sure your system is foolproof, your system is near 100 optimized.
So, stepping back maybe one step, what we're talking about here is agentic AI, right? So, voice receptionist is one aspect of it, and there are so many other job functions and roles that can be, I suppose, agentified, right?
Yes.
And a whole army, like Dario from Anthropic says, a army of super geniuses in a data center, right? So that's his thing that is possible. Or I think he calls it a country of geniuses. But bottom line is you can visualize an entire organization, all the roles, be agentified, right? So you need just one person pulling the strings and all the other roles have been agentified, right? So that's a theoretical scenario. So what do you see when you look out from an agentic AI perspective? Is this here to stay? And how far and deep do you think this is going to become?
It is, of course, here to stay, and it is helping everybody very much, especially us. I think we both are from the companies. I think your company also provide services to customers, and there are processes like building the documentation in the start, which is very important. We used to do the documentation work of creating a functional requirement document and an architectural diagram and quite documents, 4 or 5 different type of business requirement. All of those things used to be done. And we used to assume at least 20 to 25 days where 3 to 4 people were involved. The technical, the analyst, and the project manager used to be involved.
Right.
All of that used to take 20 days. Now, these days, we're doing it in less than 4 hours.
I should set up a consulting session with you and learn some of the tricks here. But how are you deploying AI agents to do this?
Yes. One good thing about my team is that we have divided our teams into factions, you can say, just like those religious groups. Some people are really Gemini focused, some people are like Claude is the king kind of scenario. So we actually recently deployed a system for creating all of these documents, launching version 2 by June for Recept. And with that version 2, we are adding features like a customer and all of those things. And for each feature, like all the modules and everything, all the documentation was done by AI.
Okay, when you say that, maybe I'll dig in a little bit here. because I'm personally interested in this. Are we still talking prompt-based interaction with these LLMs, or are the prompts themselves being generated by maybe an AI agent?
It's in a way, it's a reverse system. So our system, how it works is we start with Claude and we ask it to prepare the right kind of questions which are required for this kind of project. Definitely the business analyst needs to be, that's the most crucial part of the whole setup, because the business analyst is interacting with the customer and then we are feeding that data into Claude, and the Claude is asking the right set of questions to prepare the basic documents which used to be given to the Gemini team. But now we have prepared a system where Claude itself just ping it to Gemini, and then Gemini verifies it and then does Google research. There's a deep research done, and then a document is created. For you won't believe, this system has created almost like 700 pages of documentation on its own. And then it took us almost a week to read that.
That was going to be my next question to you. Let's say if in 4 hours you created this document that's 100 pages long, but if you present it or you share it with the customer and the customer says, all right, so on page 247, this one section and this one paragraph, I have a question. Can you explain and change this, or this doesn't make sense? Can we alter this? When you get into this whole cycle of trying to deal with the AI to tweak that and spending all your 80% of your tokens trying to get that fixed to where you want it. Because there are two problems. One is maybe you guys do, but maybe it's unlikely that somebody has fully read that 700 pages and understood it, right? So there's no single owner for it. And the owner is Claude or Gemini or whatever. And that's the problem that a lot of startups and MVPs that rely on AI to create code face, that 80-20 rule. At some point, you're going to run into a situation where you cannot ask the prompt clearly enough to make the change that you want to make, right?
And I think the solution is twofold, I think, what we have deployed. Number one, you can give the whole scenario to the AI, but then you work with it on smaller modules only, and then have the other system make a collage and verify it and everything. And then we, as I said, we still have humans in the loop. My role as a CTO was actually to look into the architecture if it is perfectly fine. And then I was amazed to see, here's another thing which we do actually. We give database architecture to a separate version of Claude and ask it to create an HTML version of the data flow diagram, which shows us where each thing is going and how it helps you understand the things much faster rather than reading all of those pages. And I must say, humans need to be in the loop unless and until you trust the systems person. I don't, frankly. The document was created in 4 hours, but the team needed to verify it. It took us less than a week, I must say. But then I wouldn't say that it was like we found many issues. It was almost flawless. The key is twofold, actually. First, you divide it into chunks. And number two, we use Cloud Code for this thing as well. It has much bigger payload size, which you can.
Interesting. You mentioned that humans are in the loop, right? At some critical points, you want to have some traffic ops or whatever you want to call them. So, which means you need humans. And question is, how do you hire? Just pivoting a little bit, what kind of skill sets do an AI-enabled organization like yours needs? Do you look for AI experts, or do you look for problem solvers who can, easily learn AI? How do you do your hiring for your teams at this point? Whether it's coding, whether it's business analysts, or whether other roles in the company. So talk a little bit about what's out there.
In this case, actually, a generation which doesn't have very good reputation actually helped us a lot, I must say. Gen Z. Hiring, so there's a whole flow of how we hire people. People who reach me many times have been already working in our organization for a few months because we have teams. There are 4-person teams just responsible for hiring the team members. Of course, there are processes and systems which are in place. But for the technical roles, for the leading technical roles, my go-to person is normally the kind of person who may not know everything, but who want to experiment and who want to know new things. Yeah, I always say to my team, it is easier to learn new things than to unlearn what you have learned all those years. What I meant to say is sometimes when you hire very experienced people, they can become a blocker for you when you are adapting to new technologies. And it happened to us. We had to shuffle our team back in 2024 a lot, actually. A lot of shuffling was done because people who were working in this industry from like 15 to 20 years, that's the difference I see between a person who has made his livelihood using a skill like a tech programmer or somebody like a Python programmer or some backend developer, and somebody like me and you who basically just need to stay ahead on the innovation scale. We just need new things to be implemented faster and sharper. We experimented with Gen Z. One of my leaders, I must say, she's very young and she just had this appetite of experimentation. And I think it's a huge hit and miss, I must say. But then again, the key is to find the people who are ready to experiment with the new things, who is ready to unlearn a bit of things rather than sticking to what they know and what needs to be done, because technology is changing on a very big pace.
I was listening to the podcast by the head of Cloud Code, which was only a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. And he was saying himself that there are times when he feels even though he's kind of the founder or the head of code division, he has a tendency to not use AI natively like some of the younger people that are coming out that don't have the unlearning to do, right, on how to do things. So they will be like, why don't we ask, Claude or ChatGPT this question instead of trying to answer it yourself or creating it yourself. So that bias to doing things manually is in our DNA, like maybe me and maybe to a little bit lesser extent you, because we have done it that way, whereas somebody that's coming out now has a natural tendency to just go ahead and ask AI, right? And I also see this now, not just with the youngsters, but I have a friend of mine who was founder of a couple of startups and was very successful, but he's not technical, never written code in his life. And he is using AI in a way that I would have never imagined is possible. And he might even be, the word developer now has changed now, right? So it's not the right code. It's people that can work with AI and develop something, right? So
it's all about describing your logic.
and in fact, the head of Cloud Code, I forget his name now, basically says that coding is kind of over, right? Which to me is hard to digest and maybe even agree with at some point, but I think it's coming. Do you agree?
The cloud code and its skills, they are evolving like crazy. And you won't believe some of the things which we hand coded in our product back in March 2025. We hand coded a few very core things readily available as skills just last week because people are experimenting with all of those things. And with those skills, all you need to do is ask Cloud to use that skill and build the system. You're just a master of a super efficient developer.
This is so fundamental, life changing in a way. It's scary to me that all this is happening. It's scary and exciting at the same time. So, what is your outlook on the future as we are talking about capabilities of AI? What do you think overall? Is it for the good? And what future do you foresee?
I have said it many times actually earlier to other platforms as well that I consider AI as a tool, even the AI development and everything and all of those things. We humans just need to adapt to these new tools. Even if there is an AGI or ASI, how people say super intelligence or things like that, there will always be need of humans. There will always be requirement for humans to do certain things. If those things are smarter as hell, Can you hand over your bank account? Can you hand over your children's future to these things? No, you can't. There are many things which needs to be done by humans, and humans will be there. I tell that to my team, my development team. They have been the lifeblood of my organization from like years and years. But all I tell them now is you have to adapt. When you used to work earlier, there was a hierarchy. There were people who used to guide you. There were people who used to help you. There were people who used to do things themselves. Now, I think is the age when almost everybody should work like a team lead, like a leader of a small pact who has a cloud developer and an OpenAI developer and all of those tools. I think basically this thing will upgrade humanity. I think you also might have seen those reels on Instagram while scrolling where all of the IT people used to say that people working in technology don't have lives. They just have to live in the room in front of a computer. They have to die in front of a computer. I think those days are gone. You just have to work efficiently for 6 to 8 hours, give your tasks to your favorite so-called developer, and it's going to get the things done.
And I think the technology that you're working on, which is voice-enabled technology, like you say, is the future in that interface between us and computers and the phones and the iPad is going to be hopefully through voice because that's more natural to us than typing through a keyboard, right? So if we can get that interface working and you have a powerful AI in the back end, I think the possibilities are endless.
Have you seen that movie Her?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
You must watch that.
Okay.
It's all about what I'm telling you. There are operating systems which are speaking to you, which are talking to you, which are interacting with you using the voice, and you still type. I think that future is coming. Voice is very much powerful, especially after this recent release of full-plex agents, engines by NVIDIA, I think, launched it. And then we are also experimenting with that. It's going to go crazy because until now, my system, what we used to do, we used to cut your voice in chunks so AI can listen to you in between and then interact. And then if you talk to my AI agents, you will notice that when it's speaking and you're interrupting the AI agent, it stops and it listens to you. That thing was created by my engineers by seamlessly working on the system. But then that technology is coming as a core system. Agents are going to be able to listen to you while speaking to you at the same time, just like humans do, full duplex. And it's going to be amazing in the future. My team actually connected while working on this restaurant flow I was telling you. They connected 3 different levels of memory to an agent. And then the file-based data and also the SQL data. And then the agents were able to interact with all 3 databases, becoming very smart. You call a number and then call that number 3 days after and say, hey, remember me? It's going to say, yes, I remember you. And you ordered chicken malai tikka last time. It's amazing how technology is evolving.
Kulbir, this has been great. I can keep talking to you. This is such an exciting field. And congratulations on all your achievements so far. And thank you for being a part of the Innovators Playbook podcast. Really appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you when you come to the States and visit us here in Atlanta.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.